Nice to see you.
Good. So what are we talking about?
Just having fun, right?
I don't know. I know Loic said that we should do this in French.
French. How many
Yeah.
words do you know? You speak any?
No.
Me either.
Okay, so then moving
English it
on.
is.
Okay. Right. So Loic, sorry, um, we can't really help you. Um, I have a question for you. Why do you love Arsenal, and why not Manchester United? I mean, that's a better club.
Well, we're in France, right?
Yeah.
Two legendary French players,
Okay.
Patrick Vieira,
God, you're playing to the audience. That's what
Henri.
it is.
Hey,
That's all
I
you're
hear
doing.
Henri is so good they're letting him play with his hands now.
Okay. Uh, all right, let's just get serious about stuff which matters. Sort of like things you might actually know something about, like money.
Money.
Yeah,
Everybody
or
likes
actually
money,
the
right?
digital money and where the future is. And so tell me, what do you think about where we stand in the world of e-commerce, electronic money, digital, goods? Just give me an overview of the market per se.
Sure. Well, so past is prologue, right?
Yeah, you should
If
talk
you-
about a little bit about the past because your
Okay.
past is important.
If you look at the history of the world, and that's kind of how we start to look at our strategy. There's only been over the several thousand years that we've existed, five major shifts in the way people pay. First one was barter. The second was coins. Then came paper. Then came credit cards, and the more recent one is digital, right? The one we're living now. And in each case, it's been about removing friction to commerce. You know, carrying around a cow to pay somebody is a little difficult. So bartering with livestock or even hay or what have you, difficult. Coins were a little heavy. Paper, for the internet age, it doesn't work very well. In each case, it was about removing friction. And even the last one we were in, if you think about 95 and 96, there was a shift there that allowed e-commerce to happen, which was internet gateways allowing the acceptance of credit cards. So in this age, the digital age, is the one PayPal lives in. And I think that's what's going to change the world.
So what you're saying is that we are basically removing friction to spend money. The easier we make it, the better it is for PayPal, right?
Well, and for all payments in general, for consumers and merchants as well.
But good for PayPal too.
Absolutely
Yeah,
good for
yeah.
PayPal.
Well, why don't you just say that to start with? So what is PayPal doing in order to kind of, right this trend, given that you've been around, close to 7, 8 years now, as a part of eBay and then as an independent company for a lot longer?
So sure, absolutely. So if the future of money is digital, what does that mean? It means not just digital money, but fully online, connected, and very personal. So giving the consumer a lot more choice, a lot more control over their money. And PayPal is the first payment method of scale that was born in the internet age, right? We came into existence in around 1999. Today, we move a lot of money. This year, we'll move around $70 billion in e-commerce. Pretty good from the humble beginnings of an internet startup. And as we look forward, that 70 billion, there's about $650 billion of e-commerce in terms of a market. But we've got a long history of creating markets. If you think about our first two products, P2P, we allowed people to send money across the world through an email address.
Well, let me push back a little bit.
Okay.
These numbers you talk about, 650 billion, 70 billion, these were part of the big X.com slide presentation back in 2000, 99, 2000. Same with PayPal.
Yep.
When Max Levchin was doing it, and I was there. Nothing really has changed. You guys have been missing in action for a while.
So I'll tell you this. I think we focused on P2P, then we focused on eBay payments, and we became the way to pay on eBay and enabled millions of people to make a living that way. And then over the last 3 years, we've been laser focused on becoming the standard for web checkout. That's how we got to these big numbers. When you say missing, yes, we've been missing from the scene in the perspective that we've been going after traditional merchants. as opposed to the original notion of creating markets and creating opportunity. It was more of how much of the $650 billion do we take. As we look forward, though, the goal is changing a bit.
Right.
That's why you see a lot more of us. We're here today. I actually came from our Code and Build this morning, which was standing room only. Very happy to hear. What we're trying to do now as we look to the future is not only taking share of the $650 billion, but there's $30 trillion, according to McKinsey, that gets spent globally. We think this digital shift to money will enable a lot more opportunity of that 30 trillion moving online. And we want to help developers do that in a big way. So back to our roots of creating opportunity and leveraging all of our assets, putting them in the hands of developers and allowing them to do it.
Right.
And that's what Innovate was about earlier this year.
Yeah.
That's what all these new utilities and tools are about. And that's, I think, the future of PayPal.
Right. So yesterday, I think Jack Dorsey was talking about person-to-person commerce enablement. You guys haven't really focused on that as much, even though in the early days, the utility of PayPal was sending $5 or $10 to your friends or whatever,
Yeah.
and not focused on that. Why do you think you lost your way on what was the core competency, and how do you see the person-to-person commerce going forward? And what?
So I'll put it this way. I think while we focused on these 3 highly successful use cases, the latest one being web checkout across web, so P2P, eBay payments, and web checkout, the internet is moving and innovation is moving at a very fast pace. And the number of use cases and the demand that's popping up, whether it's social networking or micropayments or digital and virtual goods, it's just skyrocketing. And so what we haven't been able to do is, inside of our walls, despite the fact that we've grown significantly and have a lot of employees, is address all of those use cases ourselves. And this is where you see a shift in our strategy, as opposed to trying to go after all of these opportunities ourselves, take the internal tools, the assets. We do payments in 190 countries around the world. We do it in 24 currencies. As I mentioned, we move $70 billion. We are we're a veneer. We are a network of thousands of financial institutions and payment networks. We make that all accessible to developers. So our strategy is, let's put it in the hands of the guys innovating at the use case level. Right. I love what Jack Dorsey's doing. I love the Square thing. It's another example of a use case that should work. We think we should be empowering those folks. We should be partnering with them and allowing those use cases to thrive as opposed to become just experiments.
I can make the introduction. With Jack.
Hey, you're a little late to the game, man. Right after the conversation, the speech he did yesterday, we met. We already have dinner planned. So.
Okay.
But thank you.
All right. I'm just trying to help you out.
I appreciate it.
So.
I appreciate it.
No, but do you think at some point, like working with Square, and PayPal could go and combine the web and the physical world together and perhaps become a competitor to, say, Visa or a MasterCard?
Man, you're just trying to make my life hard here. But let me answer those two separately. Absolutely, I want to partner with every developer that's got a great idea. We spent 10 years, I think, building a great payment system. Again, the only one inherently built in the age of the internet. We don't want anyone else to have to recreate that. We want all of the innovators out there to leverage it. Start from where we end. We're here to listen to you. We're getting your feedback. We want to know what you're up to, and we want to give you the tools to succeed. And it's not just the capability to move money seamlessly around the world, but it's also the fraud and risk capabilities that I think we've perfected over the last 10 years to enable us to exist as a business. That's number one. So I want to work with everyone out there to enable your business. Visa and MasterCard, they're partners. We do a lot of business with them. Over half of our volume goes to credit cards. And as I mentioned, the P2P business we created, the eBay business we created, those were cash businesses, right? They were either flea markets or people taking cash or checks out of the bank to pay each other. We moved that volume to credit card, at least half of it, so they see us as partners. And the enemy here, in my mind, again, is paper money. That's dying anyway. It's a common enemy between us and Visa and MasterCard. We want to move cash, paper money, to digital.
But why can't you do like a PayPal branded credit card network? Or, you know,
I,
why
I
not?
think, well,
It's,
so
it's
I'll start.
$650 billion.
I'll start with our goal isn't to do credit card payments. Our goal is to innovate, to create new markets. And of the $30 trillion that I mentioned, the majority is still cash and checks. And the problem is, you know, in the US and Europe, credit cards are pretty prevalent. But when you go outside of that, you see, you see a lot less of them.
So that's where you could start the PayPal network, right? Like the PayPal.
And from a developer perspective, I care about the guys that also, you know, cash coming into the system needs to be enabled as well. There's innovation there, and I want to enable it.
Right. We're talking about innovation. You know, recently, Michael Arrington from TechCrunch has been on a kick to basically expose what he calls the scamville offers, and rightfully so. Do you think all these things eventually go away and we go back to actually paying for things and using money for it, everything, including virtual goods? And
So I'll say a couple of things about that. Well, actually, you mean that's not how you got your MacBook?
no,
Through that ad that's
No.
MacBook free here? That's not how you got it?
I'm too old
Getting
to play
points on
games.
Zynga?
You know, it's like they
I'd
sold
say-
me an insurance though. I got insurance from, and I play Farmville based on that. So there you go.
So I wouldn't paint them all with one brush.
Yeah.
I think there's some value to offers. And so I wouldn't call them all bad. Some of them are pretty bad. You know, the ad that says, you know, get a free iPhone and you put in your mobile number, you find out you're getting $10 billed a month on your mobile bill. That's kind of nasty. But I think they all exist to solve for problems in the flexibility of how people use payments. You know, a lot of them are being used by folks who don't have credit cards. Back to that point. If I don't have a credit card, even if I don't have a bank account, then I'm kind of left to leaving a mobile number or doing a free survey or what have you. And so it confirms the fact that there isn't enough flexibility in the way people pay. And it also includes the bucket of micropayments and all these virtual currencies that are coming about, right? Having to spend $20 in virtual currencies to play as opposed to buying 10 cents at a time. Or,
But I just don't think that's a good idea. Like all these offers, just there is always something murky somewhere. You know, you don't know. So
There's quite a few.
most
But
of them.
I think once you enable micropayments
Right.
and allow folks to spend 10 cents at a time or a quarter at a time, a lot of those go away. That's my perspective.
So what do you think is the state of micropayments right now? Where do we stand?
There's still a lot of experimentation out there.
Are you guys doing anything?
We have a lot of plans in 2010 to enable micropayments in a big way.
Can you give some concrete examples?
I can't give it all out since we're in the middle of development.
Just one,
But
just
we
one.
will, well, okay,
Just one.
I think it's back to, look, we have 200 million accounts across the world and growing. We're doing fairly well there. And we know quite a bit about the credibility of those accounts. It's not just someone who came by and gave us an email address. They have payment methods. They have a transaction history with us. So they've earned some credibility with us in some way. If they want to do a small transaction, we should allow that, right? We should be able to allow it as opposed to have them fund an account or
When though?
or something like that.
When is it gonna happen?
So 2010 is going to be a big year for us. We want to innovate in the space. We don't want to just do what everyone else is doing.
6 months, 9 months, 10 months?
Soon.
God, you know, you publicly traded company guys don't really give any specific.
We'll get there soon, but
You gotta get more specific
And
than-
the great news, not only will we make that available, we'll also make it available again in our platform mindset. We'll make it available to developers to build all these different use cases and all these different experiences into devices, into your TV, into your PC. And in fact, by the way, today in our booth we have Philips has collaborated with us on their Net TV platform, and we're enabling payments there. You'll see us on a lot more non-traditional PC web venues as we allow developers to leverage our platform.
So what is Philips doing with that?
Well, it's the conventional, you know, people have been asking for a long time, how do I pay on my television? And if you thought registering for an account was difficult on a PC, imagine doing it on a remote control without a keyboard.
So what are they buying on TV?
I think just like you see ecosystems built around devices and device manufacturers, that's just another example. I think all of these internet-connected devices will become platforms and additional opportunities for developers to innovate, whether it's marketplaces to buy regular goods, or whether it's new digital goods, games, one-click payments on advertisements. There's going to be, who knows? That's the beauty of platforms and developers getting the opportunity to innovate.
So are you working with any gaming platforms?
I think we're working with almost all of them. Most people don't know this, but
Like
we're a
Xbox?
big part of. So we're working with almost all of them,
Okay.
believe me, and especially the social gaming guys. All of them are great customers of ours, and we're gathering feedback from them to figure out how to enable this phenomenon further. I mean, Zynga is just on a tear. It's amazing what they're doing.
Yeah, but they offer a lot of offers there, right?
They also offer PayPal.
Yeah, but there's more offers than.
No. I wouldn't go that far. You know, that's the other beauty of being a payment system with such a broad reach. We get to see a lot of the trends in the industry and where they're going. So we have quite a bit of information about what's happening in social networking, what's happening in mobile, and the like. And we're stepping up in a big way because of what we see happening.
So what is happening in those networks, and how are you working with developers?
So let's start with social networking. We see the growth in payments, not just activity, because it started as just activity in the beginning. We see the growth in payments on social networking growing at a phenomenal rate, 20% month over month at least. That's a month over month. And the numbers are really big. They're not millions, they're much, much bigger. So we see that there's huge opportunity.
But what are
there.
people spending money on?
A lot of it is gaming today.
Okay.
You know, you see a lot of dating sites lately. I think it's slowly making its way to commerce. And what's happening is, I think we need to be able to marry the credibility of safe payments to that social world. And I think social commerce is coming fairly soon. But it's making its way through the fun stuff first, and I think very soon commerce.
So you're working with most of the app developers right now?
I'd say the majority of the developers that actually have a business model that makes money are using us today. Because, well, look, this is our legacy. Our history has been, since 1999, the easiest way to accept payments online.
Right.
And as the whole world moves online, as the internet makes it to every corner of the world, we're going to be there. I saw an interview, can't remember what newspaper, but Ericsson, the incoming CEO of Ericsson, was quoted as saying he expects by 2012, 7 billion mobile phones, internet connected. That's pretty amazing, right? So the internet, and that's what mobile is doing. Back to what do we see happening? Mobile is bringing the internet to everyday life. So it's bringing transaction and the merge between online and offline. That line is blurring faster than ever. And mobile is at the forefront of that. And I think the ability to buy things with your mobile phone isn't only becoming real, but I think it's becoming real on almost every device in the
I think
process.
they want us to leave, but I have one last question for you.
Yeah.
When do you think eBay will spin off PayPal like Skype? Come on, at least one bit of news in this.
That's a little bit above my pay grade.
Oh, come on, you're a
but
VP
look-
or something in a publicly traded company. That's pretty high up.
The key word is publicly traded here. I'll tell you this, and John has been upfront about it. It makes sense for the two companies to be together today. There's a lot of synergy between the two companies. Over 40% of our volume comes from them. As long as that's true, I think we're going to be together.
But they said the same thing about Skype also. Thank you, Osama.
Hey, thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you, Thank you, Osama.